I can be creative. I may officer and that. So I can go forward. Yeah, just me and you, and then we can be officer after that. By that, fourth, quarter is fine. Yeah.
I'm going to call this meeting to order at 6 o'clock. This is the town board working session. Statement of public notice. You're going to provide a written notice and the agenda of the public meeting to get involved. Everyone is here except Justin Creed, who you can make notice he does come in at which time. I'll take a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, that passes. And let's stand for the pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just want to let the board know that the third item on here having to do with the people of plumbing repair for the fire hall is no longer on this agenda, and I'll have it on in November. Our chief does not have anything for us tonight, so you won't be hearing that. And that's that repair. Still working with Congress getting what do you think? On to discussing the possible action. Thank you. We did the wrong one. We have this on first. This is the wrong agenda, I'm sorry. So the first thing we're gonna go to is the town, Stantec. Interchange planning study that was done with the market analysis and concept plans. And we have Phil Carlson from Stantec here to talk to us about this. So you're up.
Okay, thank you, Chair and Board. Again, I'm Phil Carlson with Stantec. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a planner and I worked with me and others there for many years. We also have to look at the interchange and as Teresa said, planning study with concepts for the area and the market study. As noted in my memorandum, it's dated last week, October 16th. In order to look at the roadways might serve the area near the interchange, which was part of the impetus for the study, we need to know what kind of lots you might be serving. And so that's why we did the market study and then back into what might be the concepts. And the market study, which is attached to the memorandum and has much more in-depth information, shows that there could be some interest in development there, but it's really very limited and could be very long-term for what people might have anticipated when the interchange goes in. And certainly interchange is an opportunity for businesses of many kinds to locate. But in this case, that opportunity is limited because there are other uses in land nearby on the highway at other adjacent interchanges, and also notably because of the lack of municipal sewer and water serving this area. So someone with a business looking for land is going to say, what are the opportunities? What can I do here? And without sewer, that immediately eliminates some kinds of businesses, and without significant population, that would eliminate a number of other kinds of businesses. You know, you want a grocery store or a restaurant or many kinds of businesses are looking for rooftops in the jargon of the industry. And St. Joseph is quite deliberately a lower density community with not the kind of population, certainly not what you have immediately across the river in Stillwater, and not what you have up the road in Somerset and Richmond and down the highway in Hudson. So there could be some development happen here. As we suggested in the report, it would be limited to a few lots over the next 3 years. And so you might want to plan for that, what we've shown with this concept is how you might extend one piece of road to serve some lots, and we suggested those lots are in the, 3 to 4 acre size, 350 to 400 feet deep. And of course, the depth of the lot is something that you want to plan for if you're putting the road through, so that you don't put the road too far, too near, based on the lot sizes that someone would want to develop. So that initial, and it's just a very simple concept diagram to show how that piece of road could serve, in this case, 9 lots that might be 20 years worth of development. So there's maybe 2 things to say about that concept plan. First, you wouldn't have to build that stretch of road to serve that long-term kind of development. And if you did, you wouldn't want to have a 1,600-foot dead end cul-de-sac. You probably want to plan for some kind of emergency access that could shortcut that might be able to cut through the park and ride lot to be able to get to near the end of that if you were going to build it. Or second, you might build just a very short stretch at the end of Park Street to serve 2 or 3 lots initially. And that would be a much, obviously, shorter piece of road and much smaller investment to be able to serve them. As noted in the memo and the market study, there is a market for residential. People want to live out here, and as largely a rural large lot development, there's demand for that. There would be demand for higher density residential for multifamily, but that again would most likely need municipal stewards. So there's kind of the initial question and answer to that question, and then there's a number of questions that you might want to consider. So in total, this is really a very simple answer to your question about how do we plan for roadways around the interchange, but I'm sure it brings up questions that you might want to discuss in detail as to where does the town build the planning around this interchange? Do you want to entertain further the question of the municipal sewer and water? And if you do, that takes you in one direction. If you don't, then that takes you in another direction, with perhaps a partial or limited development of roadways and lots. So that's the very limited version of the larger memo and report. Maybe I'd be happy to answer your questions or your discussion.
So a couple of questions. Yes, we did that sort of our study when we had the British County Zero, that when I just went inside and not all over. Also because it's cost prohibitive. Now we're looking at this development conflict, of course, you've shown up the land in that relationship. But we're also getting influx of voters on the east of that and on the north of that. That concerns me because 35 is on the way out or county building assets. And I know in a discussion I had a while back with the DOT, they kind of want to know from town St. Joseph what we're thinking about. Because as development drops in on the west side of 35, does that take away our capability to have road connections from the east? And so their position was me at the time was, town St. Joseph had an idea that this property is going to develop in the future. Now it's time to say to the state, here's where we like to see our connections come out for this industrial commercial area. And let everyone else work around that, so to speak. Because now you have a big chunk of property sitting right down here that just came on the market. And their only access is going to be 35 down there. So all of that.
It's currently sold.
It's already, yeah. So you see what I'm saying, is the pressure you're coming. And I don't want to wait, personally, I don't want to wait too long for the town to get to a point where our only access into this acreage from that interchange is only coming up. And that's where I'm at, you know, I wanna have some sort of discussion on this with the DOT that say, okay, this is where we wanna go with this. I want you to reserve these accesses for the town of St. Joseph.
So the concept diagram show this initial developing lots, you know, at the north, but also in the dotted lines, how that might go all the way through. And so there is, we're showing a couple of access points along the highway on kind of the west side of that larger chunk of property there. Those, I think that's what you're referring to. Where should we reserve access points so that the development that does happen for the town could respect that and allow for the future
And
development?
what happens if that's the first section to go?
Yeah,
And what happens if that section wants to go, and DOT goes, not here. I mean, that infringes upon the ability of the landlord to be able to buy and sell their land without access.
right.
And I'm just trying to head that out, the future and say to the DOT, what are these about?
Right.
Because that's where we're going.
Yeah, so we did not study that specific piece, and we certainly can, you know, and this is a good question for that. You know, the DOT is gonna have standards for intersection spaces along that. Yeah, yeah, okay. And so they don't want individual driveways or,
Right.
you know, new roads every 300 feet along there. They want to space that so that they can make it safe and do that. So we could look at that and see what would be appropriate spacing and, you know, to serve development. What do we know about what that property's been sold for and the people?
Oh, the one that's been sold on this picture is this over here.
Oh, on the east side.
On the east side.
Okay.
So this,
You're gonna be right here, Chris, stop right at that one, you can move out right there. Right. there.
so this.
Yep.
All this has just been sold.
Yeah.
And what's fun about this is. They could easily have a conversation with someone in here
Yes,
to come on,
yes,
and I don't know if tonight's the night we should be wasting our time talking about that, but.
well, I'm just saying that we should have that conversation at some point.
We are, but I mean, this could really expand the season. That's all I'm-
And I come back to this, that my concern with what we show here is that say this parcel comes in. And they go, well, we're gonna put our driveway in here, and we're gonna go, wait 1 minute. We gotta get through here, if you do that, this doesn't work, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And somehow we need to have a plan that shows all developers coming in the future. That this is approximately where we want those folks to go to, and we receive DOT conditional approval on where those folks come through. Because if somebody comes in between these two, it ruins both of those entrances.
And this is just me since we're opening up this. Box is that big parcel that just sold, only got one access.
Yeah.
And what's fun about that is, yeah, okay, the guy owns it now. If he's gonna leave it, fine. If he's gonna expand it, well, now it doesn't fall into our developing guidelines, right?
And that's why I'm really concerned about what's east of that interchange. And we talked about that at the very beginning, so I guess I don't see that as a file, so to speak, but I guess.
No, not at all. And this is really a different question than what I thought we were addressing. We were looking at this kind of southwest quadrant of the energy. The earlier concept a few years ago did look at both sides, so we didn't with this most recent development. Absolutely, we should do that. Because on E, we know there's going to be a certain spacing that they want between the roundabouts at the freeway ramp and the first intersection. And then along 35. Where
My only comment is that we just need to get in front of the DOT map that shows, you know, conceptually where we want access, you know, and start working through that process.
How do you feel about that? I think that's the most important thing, if we don't get somewhere with them. We may lose some facts.
I fully agree, and I think that's, you know, as long as we're subject to market forces with what goes in certain places, as long as they can conform to, zoning and permitted use of that zoning. So we're kind of at the mercy of that end of things, but we do have the front end of the control of, like you said, in front of DOT, laying out where we want our roads incrementally, and I also favor that incremental approach of.
Yeah.
We don't need to build out, you know, 1,600 feet of road and sit in 20 years. We can add as that goes along, and at least have our spots where the roads are gonna go, they're marked out, and as development does come in, they're conforming to what we want rather than we have to start to work around that.
Well, and that's my fear, is that I think it's great if we all think it's starting in north, but what if it starts in south? Then they have to change.
I think that's always been the assumption that it can be in the spot.
I mean. Boots on the ground person like myself is obviously. It's gonna start somewhere we least expect it. And. And the fun thing about this is, it only takes conversation and checkbooks to change something.
Absolutely correct.
And I guess the other thing is that I don't think we have any appetite for municipal sewer or water, anything like that.
It's not feasible.
It's not feasible. So, obviously. Residential preferred. Maybe chunk for that light industrial, which it would require a harder look at that. I don't know. Where else storage, so.
Well. That's for a different time. What's fun about that is that square footage taxes, it's a clean industry, right? And I guess for this evening, what's entertaining is that piece that was for sale. I had a study done on it to have a wastewater treatment plant put on that piece. For everyone. Still not.
So when, you want to say something?
Well, I was just gonna suggest that maybe if it is board's desire, I can certainly, you know, make some calls to the DOT and identify what that process would look like, you know, before the next board meeting.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
And then because our first thing here, is there any way to expand this and maybe give us a bigger mapping of it? Because I want to know what's going to happen on the east side of that. Because if this land that you're talking about, it's gonna go for development, right now, it's, you know, ag res. It's not, it isn't in. Right now it's ag res, and I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm just saying it is, but what's up here is commercial industrial.
Yeah.
So how will that connection get made? We don't have to connect all the way through everything, I just wanna know what's happening over there, because that was one of the reason this came up is because the person who wanted to buy this original southeast corner was concerned with how they could connect, how are they gonna get on? With Spectrum trucks.
Yeah.
So I think that still needs to be fleshed out a little bit.
So I'm clear. Bill, I think some of these. So I think, Bill, some of these concepts and plans were. Run through about back when we were working on the comp plan, am I right on that? And there's others.
That's what.
There's another study back out there that was very extensive with some of these conversations.
Well, I don't know.
And that's the question, and I'll look through my records, so I'm gonna default to some of those conversations, maybe. So my question to you, Lee and Teresa both, is if we're going to be reaching out to the DOT and we're going to go through this process again. And when you're talking Highway 35, I'm thinking what was always old 35 road forever. Are we going to go south down 35 and plot out accesses all the way, say, to almost at the old cemetery, so that we're going into those Or are we gonna repeat the process down the road?
I don't know, maybe we can answer that, that wasn't where I was coming from. Well, where I'm coming from is that we have a parcel of land that we designated as commercial industrial. If they get sold in, say, the wrong way, in other words, instead of the north one gets sold, the south one goes first. How are we gonna give the access to them and show them where our roads are gonna go, and that 1,000 foot is maintained, and that 1,000 foot is pretty much a hard number with DOT. They're not gonna get into that any which way unless it's existing. So if that's their 1,000 foot is their hard number, and the south falls first, how are we sure where that road is gonna go, so we can get the next one in and be far enough apart for the future? I don't want this one to go in and then find out we don't have a house, now we're going out one way in and one way.
That's very clear that this is what needs to be happening. This is why I'm gonna tell you that I'm looking at this from an expanded view. And I'm looking at how much land is sitting without houses, no matter what we think it's zoned as. And if it was to change its use from what it currently is known as. If it's not gonna be used as it is, everyone that buys that land and is gonna change the use needs an access off of Highway 35. That's, or some way to get into that, and I really want to know if we're gonna go through this act. And plot this out. I wanna look at a much bigger area than what you are. And if we're having conversations with the DOT, because I could see that happen.
I think it's completely up to the board on how comprehensive you like this look to be as far as access to along Highway 35. I think one of the things that, if we sit and think about for a minute, well, what does that look like, that process? If you're talking about certainly having public meetings, if you're going to be deciding where access is going to be in the future on people's properties, then, as part of that, you're probably going to, at some point or another, get input from the property owners.
So interject. Are we going to skip that process now in this little section that we're doing?
I would.
No, so we're going, that's part of the process.
It just gets bigger.
It just,
Just get bigger.
it's a bigger meeting, but it's the same process, well, same man.
And it's more costs.
A question for the host,
We're gonna pay it either way.
are we right in focusing strictly on those areas that are not zoned, traditional residential or a residential focusing just on that industrial red?
Oh,
That-
I don't think so. Then if you think there's going to be development and it's gonna wanna come up through this area, whether it's residential, industrial, whatever. Yeah, we should plan for how you get from, from 35 to E. There should be some kind of plan that would long-term, whether it's 5 years or 15 years, has a network to show how various properties can actually get access. And so, to your point, how do we do that? You draw a map, you consider it, you take into account property lines, what we know, and then you put that on a map that is the adopted plan of the town, obviously talking with DOT as well. And then everybody, so that if somebody buys land, they want to put something in, it's like, okay, you've got to connect here, and you've got to figure out a way to get to those points, so that you don't have just individual jobs.
And my question is, on why I bring this up. I'm thinking from 125th to E and all the land sitting there and how anyone would potentially need an access other than what is existing as of today. And that would be, and yes, it costs money. It's gonna cost money if we have to come back and do this again.
So we have, we actually come back to the board with a price. And what it costs, you can put 2015 and also. And that includes not the west side, because the west side's pretty much that.
Yes, I agree, but I know what you're saying.
I'm only talking the east side.
Me too. And I think, thank you for clarifying that area.
East side of, you know.
35,
Right.
because the west side is the river, and I believe it's what, there's a couple of bigger lots there, but I'm not thinking that's gonna involve major development. So if someone wants to subdivide their lot into two, it's not gonna be a big deal, except if you have to the Anderson property.
It's all on the east side.
Well, the Anderson property will have to be included in that, but otherwise, it's all on the side.
Yeah, that, I don't know if you mean that one shot.
So,
So if you come back with like you've done in the past, and give a sure price for that, and
so let's just talk a little bit about just a couple of the aspects of what the price is going to include. So I'm thinking out loud here, and Bill, you can jump in if you need to. But I would think that, you know, obviously the one thing we would do is we would do an analysis of the map, kind of looking at things and laying out a draft plan, run about that, a draft plan for the board to review and then tweak and massage. At the same time, we would want to be in discussions with the DOT just to say, hey, this is coming. You know, what's the process, you know, how do we get from point A to the final product that we want? So that would be part of the scope of what you're asking for today. The question I have is, you know, at some point in this process, we can lay out, you know, the whole process, I mean, the timeline, if you want to take a stab at that. But, you know, at this point, do you want us to also put in a price for, you know, public engagement? You know, we can try to
I think you have to do all
do
of
that as well. So the whole process of one end to the and the assumption is from 125th to each.
even primarily the east side, excluding the west side and
Yeah,
The 125th, you're talking, the network that is gonna potentially include 15 students, right?
all the way over to the.
All the way there, that whole,
well, the main focus, I would say, for now, is where can the access points be that the state will allow? And then we would also then probably look internally to see, okay, how would all these, how would all these potentially connect? Although the internal part is kind of secondary. Like,
Right.
we gotta nail down the DOT.
You have to go with that,
Yeah, and that makes sense, and
so,
it is a different study than I thought we were doing.
yeah. So the scope of this is not something we have to vote on, because we vote as to whether we're gonna accept that scope at the next meeting, so I hope everyone's comfortable with that. And then we can just let me go unless someone has any questions.
Yeah.
In the meantime, in the interim, did you want, I thought I heard you say that you wanted Bill to look at that parcel on the east side.
Right, I
Yeah.
said that, because that's what he's saying.
So that'll be under our current scope.
Yes, I'm gonna earn so,
Okay.
They're trying.
yeah. The one that's in the southeast corner. It's trying to access the, or, yeah,
the one that's already zoned,
yes,
yes.
yeah, and they're trying to access the, that needs to be figured out. Okay. Thank you, for coming. We appreciate it. I'm sure we're going to do that. Thanks for all the information, it was very comprehensive, I appreciate it.
Very good.
Well, next is, Bruce Paulson, and Bruce is, an part-time engineer for Stantec, and he has come to us with some really plans that he is laid out for us. And this has to do with us considering building another building across the way from here. For the town hall, due to the needs of the fire department and of the town for elections and for the clerk's office. So he's handed us out. Here we have the small ones, but the big ones are a lot easier to see. So I'm just gonna let you start from the cover here and tell us where you're at.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So the cover sheet C101 is the site plan study that we were asked to do and presented at the last meeting. Showing a rectangle over the proposed new city hall of approximately 60 by 100, with some additional parking to access the town hall. So this was the study that was done. We did turning radius, studying to make sure that vehicles coming in from the north around the east side of the fire hall could come on the existing driveway and make a turn to pull in and park. So we made sure that that was accessible. And so, based on the last meeting, put that information, and then proceeded to put together a proposed floor plan to start the conversation. And get all of your input on all the spaces that are currently shown on A101. I've also got an A102 and an A103, and those are basically the same floor plan, just showing table layout for the town board meeting and tables and podiums and voting stations for the voting. And both of those were basically taken from the plans that put together for the expansion in this building. Basically just move them over, rotate them around, shifting them a little bit in order to show up a full pattern for 4 boxes in the town hall space.
So that would be what dots are.
Yep, the dots on the floor are the proposed locations for 4 boxes.
We need those. So kind of back up a second, so this room that you're showing here, the town hall would be almost 58 feet by 60,
57 by 58, yep.
okay, and then. How many square feet?
So it's 3191.
3191, what do we have here that's?
Currently,
1,500.
yeah, this space is probably about 1,600 square feet.
So this almost doubles the size.
Right, because when we were looking at doing a 40-foot expansion of this building, we had this space up to 2,376 square feet.
So this is just a little bit bigger.
Yeah, so we're gaining another.
And that gives me.
800 square feet. Yep, absolutely.
You also included here on 201, it shows us some elevation. 201 and 202, I just want to make sure you can see those.
And part of the reason for moving forward with this, and again, all of these drawings are just to start the conversation. Nothing's set in stone, figuratively, or any other means. This is just to show you what it could look like with potential materials, and get everybody's feedback on what they like or don't like. And that, so the elevations currently are showing a manufactured stone wainscot up to the windowsill height. There's several companies that make that. It's a concrete product that's made to look like stone. You can get it in a variety of shapes, and sizes and colors. It's got really good durability. We use this on a lot of our projects, long life, very low maintenance. And currently shown above that is horizontal engineered wood pre-finish lap siding. That could also be either aluminum or galvanized steel lap siding as well. Those do come with insulation inserts that help to protect them from denting during hail. But they are still susceptible to hail damage, where the wood might get a ding in the finish, but it isn't going to create a dent unless you have a real large piece of hail.
And you tell me about this, so you can tell me more about it, and it's not something you're going to have to maintain.
Right, yep, so I've done a lot of Habitat for Humanity builds with our church. And up until about 5 years ago, all Habitat used was the James Harding garbage. They quit using that and they went to the LP Smart side. Because the fiber cement from James Hardy requires masonry saws to cut it. And you have to pre-drill every hole when you're nailing on the side. And so Habitat for Humanity and us in the Boy Scouts have gone through the LP Smart side. And I'm on the camping properties committee at our Stoke Camping Cannon Falls. And over the last year, we've completely recited the dining hall with the LP Smart side, pre-finished. It was nice. It comes with the rubber or the plastic spacer on the backside that automatically sets the exposure. You're not having to cut and block to get everything spaced correctly, and it goes up just like regular wood. You use a nail gun, put it siding up, which goes. And a pre-finished material, I believe, has got a 30-year warranty on paint finish.
That's interesting.
One piece gets damaged, you gotta go to work your way down to the damaged piece, then go back up.
It takes a little bit of work, but you can actually get them apart. And be able to pull one piece out and slide it back up and get it redone. You can, we didn't, but you can also buy nails that are pre-finished to match the wood color. Well, you did the blind nailing. But yeah, you can, it takes a little bit of work in getting them taken apart to replace the damaged piece.
I talked to Terry today a little bit about this plan. And the reason I'm saying that is because there are sheet of the east door and the west door, we would like to move that towards that allows for better flow for elections.
Yep.
So that was one thing to be on the right away, that by putting it up here, it allows more spacing to go around the road for election. Otherwise, they only go this far and they have to go out and you don't want that. So she noted that right away, which as you get the time will be very long. We also want to put all of this in the center. Terry would like to have a long vault in our office in the back.
Okay.
And I talked to you about this mechanical one, whether this could be made smaller and attach the IT room to it or near it somehow, because that would be more flexibility. And I told him this kitchen is way more than we're just looking to have one row of cabinets and one row of counter, a small countertop. Just be able to walk through from both sides, and all that conference room that could be possible available on both sides. We're kind of making a more rectangle in there. So it's something that I gave them that those ideas to the office to look at, what their needs are. By moving that IT room, it also gives us a little bit more storage, but we felt the storage does not have to be much bigger than 18 by 20. So that gives us a little more space for everything else. And one thing I want to throw out the board, and I don't know if you're interested in this or not, is that you could possibly step this side of the building forward with the entrance. So you can step the whole thing forward, they come in and go to the office and then they have to go to the support. I don't know if you're interested in that, we know that would be displayed. If they're talking money, it's that it's a good more square footage. Something to think about. I'm going it out there and I think this is the time to talk about these things and have that discussion regarding that. I also told them that you had mentioned, Chris, that we need to have a sidewalk across the front of the building, especially for voting and stuff, but not standing in the parking lot. Any more than ads and because.
Yeah, and the sidewalk is shown on the site plan.
Yeah.
That parking lot, so we basically got sidewalk all the way across that parking lot. And then this plan also is showing a covered entry.
Yeah.
That's about 12 feet deep. For people to queue up if, you know, if you got a long line of folks coming in the boat, where they can at least get out of the sun and the wind. Prior to coming into the boat, so.
And one more thing before I forget, the library wants to know if we're willing to install some concrete and outlets for them in the future to have their own drop off locker type thing, you know, like see Amazon lockers. They're talking about installing that throughout the area. And people can just come in with their code, open it up, take the books out in the field and say, close it. Then they get refilled, but they would be a slab of concrete and an outlet to do that. So I'm throwing that out to you because I did not say yay or nay, I just said I would bring it forward, and obviously if we're gonna do that. Now it's time to think about it. Now, it could be something, yeah, you put them on the outside of the building, but I just throwing that out.
I was just gonna say the interior exterior.
Exterior, it's all exterior, nothing inside at all. But they're looking at a light, an outlet, and a slab of concrete.
And how far along are they with that idea?
Well, they've been talking about it for 2 years. The town hasn't installed a slab of concrete at their place,
I know you guys are just waiting for.
and they're just gonna wait to see what happens. And the slab of concrete they put in place was where their window is with their notices, so it went to the window where notices, but then it went all the way to the corner of the building, so that they can go in there. And get down.
I think as you flush that plan further, you know, this is gonna. I think putting libraries ask on here on the list as a consideration going down the road, but. As, like you said, you flesh out this front project down the road. We'll know if there's, you know, space for that,
Right.
for, it's not,
I'm just making you
it's
all
not a big ask.
Why can't we have a window in Terry's office where she gets the books?
There you go. I don't know, she might have a little complicated for that. I don't know.
So. If you're done with your asks, I'm ready.
Go ahead.
So my first thought was. Very right, we need 4 outlets and we certainly determined that we maybe need more than what's drawn on this little picture. I do have a concern on the voting designation as far as. More will have to be done on how these work, and that's all of these, we plan on having all of these boxes are voting booths on this back wall. What is this, is my question.
Yep, that's what I was showing you was.
So we're gonna have, but. We're just gonna replicate kind of what we have here.
That's what I'm showing again, just to start the conversation.
Okay, so
Yeah.
that's what that is, so, and do we know how many is there a requirement of how many booths we need per population? My understanding is there is, and how many would that be for maybe by the next meeting, we can look that up and see if we have a population of 4,900 people, how many is? What?
One booth for 200.
Well, you've made up on that one, so figure it out.
Right, so currently,
I don't.
You've got the 15 on the wall, and you set up 4 portables.
Yes.
You've got a total of 19.
So if we had 20,
So right now, what's shown on that south wall is 22.
Right,
so that's adequate.
well, that's adequate now.
Right.
But you could add them to some of that west,
Correct.
or south wall too. The thing is, the gentleman who built these is no longer here, but the design works who did our kitchen has built them also, so he could build them and then keep them all matched.
I'm just concerned about how many areas per population, and that's all I need for the discussion at this point. I don't need to. I'm sure there's lots of options for voting booths to hang on the wall that are pre-built. The other thing, Bruce, when I looked at this, just in general,
So, with just a second on the voting thing, so. What I've kind of picked up as we've been thinking about this is. This building here that we're proposing, we're looking at a 30-year window, right?
Right.
So can we take that population math and put it against how many booths we'd have throughout the time? All right,
That's just what I was finding.
okay,
So, and we need to figure for about 5,000 people. Down the road based on the population schedules that are already out for our community. That are laddered out to 2040 and 2050 in our available place. When I look at this just from effectiveness and efficiency. At one time thought was is you try to keep your plumbing utility things in one area. So to have our 2 bathrooms on the outside doesn't seem quite as effective as if we were to move your box here and put this over here. Now you can have a hub of mechanical plumbings all in the same area. I realize that might change your traffic flow in other areas, might maybe add another one, but I'm just taking a look at how that would work. Kitchen, yeah, I think draw it as a single one, just so that everybody knows we're not putting a stove on the kitchen in here.
thank you, Bob.
And it kind of seems. Storage, this I want to gathered right now as I look at it, but I think it has to do with the layout. Not so much as how much storage we have.
What does that mean, Sarah?
It's the fact that you have storage 107 and you have your storage vault 106. There's a closet, which is some kind of storage 105. Then you have room 108, which I don't know what it is. Okay, so you have 108. That, and you have a mechanical room. The mechanical room, you know, again, we want that.
Well, if we restructure kind of what,
I'm just asking that if you were to put all of these things in one kind of area, it may be a little bit more efficient.
The storage vault is office use only, and that's secure. That needs to be within the office space. That isn't
Okay,
space that's acceptable for storing tables and chairs and things like that. That's gotta be within.
what's the
office
walk-in closet for 105?
And that was marked up on the sketch, so, if
She
we,
wanted a place to put paper, folders, all this stuff. She wanted to go over that storage room. The storage room is gonna be for all the election women. Like all the extra chairs, all the tables.
Well, a 3-foot deep closet, but like walls that, it doesn't need to be walk-in for them. You can have a 3-foot deep closet with shelves and regular doors, so.
Well, I'm gonna interrupt you. That's what we have now is 3-foot and it's packed.
That's because it's 3-foot square. So
It needs to be bigger. It can be smaller than that, but it needs to be bigger than all.
I'm saying on how you don't get all the way in there, and you want it 4 feet deep up against a wall with outside doors, that's fine. Can you tell me what the room is right beside the storage vault and 105, and it looks like a big office there? It's in dotted lines with tape, more dotted lines. How many office space, how many desk spaces are in this area?
in the office, I've
Cause
got,
it looks like 1, 2, 3.
I've got 4 workstations plus the clerk's office.
So 5 offices or workstations,
Yep,
and then there's a table and or something in the middle.
yep.
And what was the intent that and our need for a conference room? What was the purpose of a conference room?
At the time, we're the need for conference, it's great, a variety of reasons. Today I had a team call with a variety of people and, you know, people running back and forth and people coming in. It just don't have a different place to have. I noticed in other municipalities are using their conference training, they're using them for their open book, they're using it for a variety of reasons, where they're not necessarily using that, they're really needed for other things. So this conference room doesn't have to be that big. We said it'd be 10 by 14, it could be a smaller conference room, but you need something when you have that size space available. And there's a lot of times when we had 2 meetings and want to take the reason it's not at all, very other building to accomplish that conference room will give you that.
Well, I'm just looking at our, if it's arranged right, the new town hall space is gonna have enough doors on it that. And there'll already be tables and other things in there that. I would question, why don't you use your town hall for your conference room and your other things, because if it's arranged right, there shouldn't be anybody walking, shut the doors and put meeting in. So that, I'm just putting out, where this is supposed to be an open discussion, and this is my observation.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's all, so that's pretty much my commentaries and interest, and particularly concerned about the arrangement of. Definitely mechanical or not user friendly at all, based on how it is here. And I'd like to take a look at it, and that entry vestibule, if that's gonna be your. You take out a couple of those other random rooms and all the hallways, that vestibule could be a little bit bigger. And that way to serve it well down the road, if you wanna put in. Whether you have a table for filling out forms, because if that's where they're gonna come in, and this is the this is the greeting area right here. In that entry vestibule, there should be, so even if there's, like a table. Up against the wall with chairs, so they can sit down and fill out forms without having to go into the other parts. You don't want to, if your people are there, you want to keep them there. And therefore, that's what they need, they don't need a waiting room. They come in, they feel loved, but they should have a place for filling out forms.
Okay, you do that,
Thank you.
and then
Yes.
the reason this was drawn this way was
I
because
understand.
every other plan that I put together. Had been told that the vestibule was too big. The vestibule needs to be smaller, it needs to be smaller, it needs to be smaller, so that's what I did here.
I understand, but we have plenty of other empty spaces in there, so we're gonna have room to spare to have a decent vestibule left. And that way, if there's brochures, if there's forms they need, if there's lockers for people to put pickups on. Trash cans. All the other things that, and there should be if you wanna put. Where you wanna keep your snow shovel and your ice melt. Those are they're little things, but. It's all things that have to have a home in this building, so. I'm pretty much done.
Justin?
Thanks.
Please.
So I have a question. It's a curiosity about the design first. I'm looking at hallway 111. And my question would be, is there any need where we would put a door that would prevent people from basically, once you're in through the vestibule for voting, you can just kind of go anywhere within the offices? So there was no want for that.
That's a good idea.
Yep.
I don't want to block out the bathrooms per se. I just wanted to understand if we wanted to try and curb traffic that way, right?
Yep, no, and I agree completely, and I would come just past the door into the women's restroom. And add a door there,
Sure.
so that can be closed, so then when you've got meetings. The office side is secure.
Would that be one of those double doors? Looks to be that width, or is that?
I think it would just be a single, right now, the hallway is showing 5 feet wide.
So, and I was kind of piggybacking off of what Teresa had said here. One of the things, as I think of layouts, is that IT room at 72 square feet. I'm not quite catching the square footage of 105. The closet there. Anyone know it offhand? I just wasn't seeing it perhaps.
That's probably pretty close. I think the closet was about 10 by 6 and about 16.
But the closet won't exist if she gets the wall to cross that wall.
Well, so it's interesting you say that, because one of the things I was thinking is where that IT room is sitting right now, are we having it accessible because that's where we want the equipment to be pulled out from during meetings?
No, that cabinet there will stay in the town hall. Those two will be in this IT.
So the reason I'm bringing that up is because I'm thinking geographically here. If we're bringing in the, electrical, the fiber, anything into that mechanical and electrical room.
Yeah.
it would probably be easiest if we just piggyback it into that closet and then switch out 105 and 108. Now, understanding that if you have the change with that vault room, which I didn't know as I was talking about this originally, or thinking about this, as I'm taking my notes. That's a different conversation, but then I'm thinking you could absorb part of that IT room into, I think of things like paper storage, things like that, all those kind of supply and need rooms. But that was just part of my conversation. I guess I kind of want to understand more of the clerk's office needs. But the big thing that I guess stood out to me was in Office 102, where the control window is between the office and the vestibule. Essentially, what it looks like to me is as it's laid out, I'm looking at this where it would be the desk would be offset from the vestibule window.
Right,
Instead of having a desk where, I always kind of think of like a doctor's office, right? Why make someone get up and
Right.
deal with you and then go back to their desk? Or maybe they don't notice you, or maybe they're not at the desk right at the moment, they don't see you. And so what I was trying to understand was is that what we wanted?
that's what the clerk's office wanted, because not everybody, if you put someone's desk at the window.
Sure.
And they're not the person that the person in the window needs to talk to.
Oh.
Now they're out of the desk while Terry talks to them, or Carolyn talks to them because it's election related. So now they're out of their desk, now they have to wait for that whole thing to take place, so the three ladies in the office decided that they want this counter at the window to be separate from any desk area.
Okay.
And that was on.
I think the what I was picturing was slightly different, where it was the window was kind of directly in from the door,
Right,
not off to the right of the door, and that's where I think my orientation is a little bit.
what it was for the addition, but now that doesn't work the same way here.
Yep. The last thing I really wanted to nail down was flow of elections. So as of right now, it looks like during an election, and forgive me, which one is the election?
3.
103.
103.
So it looks like as I'm looking at the election flow. Today, part of the conversation is you have people who come in and register, you have people who are coming in just to vote. When you have that kind of split in the line, what I wanted to understand was you still only have one door in and one door out for everyone, right? So as I'm looking at kind of this layout, is that the most efficient way we could lay this out for people to get in and out, or is there a way where we could triage them through this?
So what happens in elections, you have 3 sets of people.
Sure.
You have the people who are coming in vote and already registered.
Yep.
You have the people who are coming in voting and not registered.
Yep.
And you have the people who are bringing in their absentee ballots.
Okay.
So they're not voting in the voting, they're coming in with this thing in their hand.
Yep.
Or they want to vote outside. What this comes out is that everybody comes to the main door and is directed to one of these tables depending on their needs.
Okay.
So they're stopped at the double doors coming in, they're directed to their tables, and right now there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's probably gonna be 6 or 7.
Okay.
Once they're there, they come around here to pick, at the very end, to pick up the ballot if they're voting. And now they're gonna go vote votes, and all the way down here on the way out, they're dropping the ballot off the DS200. What this says here is where the absentee ballot voting is gonna take place. So say you're coming in with your absentee ballot and you get to the double doors, you're gonna go in there and stand while somebody that has to do with absentee ballots is gonna take care of your ballot. So that will allow that to happen without you, and then you're gonna still go all the way around the ballot.
And what about the registered voter or unregistered? I'm coming in the registered.
One of those tables with the badge books in the past. This town has had only one person doing registrations, the same day registrations. That's gonna change,
Sure.
because as the numbers rise, everybody that's on the badge book is gonna have to be able to do the registration. Now, town Hudson has almost 10,000 residents. They divided it up, so they have 3 people doing same day registrations and 2 extras that don't.
Okay.
And that keeps the voting line moving quicker, because the registration is taking over.
So, but
Terry looked at this, and I think she's really, she's gonna have to mull it over some more, of course, but,
sure,
and she'll run this by some of the clerks too, to get their input. Yeah,
yeah, so the reason I kind of bring this up is I was hopeful, when I'm thinking about these things is that I know that same day registration is gonna be a slower line than those who are registering or who are already registered, just coming to get a ballot, right? And so what I was trying to envision was, as I looked at the vestibule, were they like, oh, well, those who are not, who need to register today can go down hallway 104 and they just hit the first table that comes out that side, and everyone who is can continue out through this. That's what I was trying to envision, so you have kind of a flow of traffic.
that's all fine and dandy, but
Yeah.
the big thing coming down the pipe is, everybody has to be in the same room to allow the observers to see what's going on, and to allow the, media to see what's going on.
Sure,
And once you separate them down separate hallways, that never takes place.
no, I'm talking about just pushing that flow of traffic.
Doesn't matter.
So you're telling me I can't make someone enter that door and enter this door? I can't push them through at both tables?
That's because this is a small enough room. That's not going to be, and the rule is 3 to 8 feet, and it may lower itself to 3 to 5.
What do you mean 3 to 8 feet?
That everybody that's
Space.
observing has to be within that amount of space to the observation.
Okay.
And that means you have to find a place that you're taking on the floor where they're that close to what's going on. That's why we bring everybody in the same door. That's what all municipalities are doing, in one door, out another door.
Okay.
Because you can control the flow, you can control the observers, and you can control the media.
Yeah, my concern,
So with your suggestion, Justin, you'd have to have probably 2 more people stationed in the, so if you wanted to bring one of these 3 groups in down this hallway, you need to have at least 1 person stationed here, being able to watch them as they're coming, and probably another person here that then becomes the traffic cop.
yeah, so that's what we have kind of today, right? Is we usually have someone at the front door, we have someone at the end of this hallway, then we have someone stationed there.
Yeah.
Right. And so the only thing I'm thinking is, if you have this where we want this to kind of be the long-term platform. If you had, let's say you had 4 individuals who all came in to register that day, and you have 6 desks. You've now got holdup where you've got basically voting booths sitting empty because people are trying to get through the badge book register. And what I was trying to ask is there a nicer way of us mitigating that through design? Right, so if you can push the flow of traffic of people one way, who are going to be needing to register closer versus pushing the flow of traffic people who are either absentee and voting in person, dropping off that day, or, I'm already registered, I'm just going to go vote. And that's where I'm trying to come with that question.
Yep. And I think that whole process will be worked through with Terry, as she kicks the tires on this layout.
Yep.
Has conversations with other clerks about, how do they work their layouts? And then looking historically, how many people are coming to vote that haven't registered?
Yep.
And so you take that against the total percentage of people that are that vote. You've got X% that are not registered, and you've got hopefully a bigger percentage that are registered.
Yeah.
And come in, get their stuff, go vote, and they're out the door in
Yep.
5 or 10 minutes.
My goal, my hope is just to make sure that it goes as smooth as humanly possible. Because I mean, it's funny, but it's not, because I walked in here and I'm just like, at the end of the day, I don't know how these folks all sit 18 hours in this room, because just sometimes it just bunches up. And then it's like an accordion, it just goes all the way out, and then it comes all back together, and I'm just like, what is it we could do by design that might help mitigate that from being a problem?
I think it would be better, it would be better, but
Yep.
again, that's.
Yeah, I think,
It's a very thing, but I'm sure you
Yep.
can figure it out.
Yeah, and I'm not even saying that I have the right idea in the way I'm saying this, it's just. you know, if you were to say something like, oh, you make the vestibule bigger and you have it where one flow is north and or east and one flow is south or something. You know, I'm just trying to have that conversation as we all think about this. Because to me, the end goal should be that everyone within the office has access to the resources they need, but in a controlled way. And then everyone who needs to come vote has a quick way of getting in, voting and getting out. So that's what I'm just trying to think of as I'm looking at this, what's the efficiency of the layout first.
Matt, did you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, a few comments, or questions. I definitely agree with the swap of the closet, and the IT room. I think that's just, that we were.
But I think that's gonna be off the table if she gets that ultimate on that call.
Okay.
I'm just gonna interject. I said something to Bruce today about could the IT room be part of the space that is there for mechanics? In other words, put walls up, but maybe you walk into the mechanical and before you walk in the back, you have your IT space, it's all, you know, cordoned off. I don't know if it's gonna work that way. You know, if we take 2 feet off the town hall, will that make that happen? I don't know. We take a foot off the office, will that make happen? So there's other ways I think to configure this, but I'm trying to get those two. I feel like the mechanical room is huge. And I'm just trying to find a way to make that happen in a better way.
And, yeah, and we'll take another look at the mechanical electrical room. I know we're gonna have at least 2 furnaces. That's my current thought. We'll have one furnace for the town hall space and one furnace for the office areas. So they can be kept at different temperatures because the town hall space is gonna be used all the time like the office space will. We're gonna have a water heater in there. We also have electrical panels, and those have to have a 42-inch clearance in front of them. To comply with code, so
That's the bigger room, you usually keep electrical and IT closets apart.
Apart.
Yeah, it's because you get a lot of issues with interference and you can get a lot of issues with searching. So that static that you don't always think about it in the house, but
Yeah.
those panels actually do kick out a lot of static and really screw up your equipment.
But I didn't know if that could be made a little smaller or something else to be done there. It's up to you.
we'll, you know, as we move forward, we'll definitely take a look at that space, and if we can make it smaller. You know, drinking pumps can be moved somewhere else, maybe we can create 2 rooms, one for IT and one for mechanical electrical, and there should have one.
Oh, he said yes.
Yes.
Are those restrooms that small, but they can be even inside of this building? These 2 interior ones?
Yeah, so it's a dual level. So the lower one meets the requirements for people in a wheelchair, the higher one meets the requirement for those who have a hard time walking and bending. And then we'll also have, you know, if you want, the lower one will also have a bottom filler.
But these restrooms, are those as small as they can be?
Yes, they are.
Okay, go ahead and ask. the question.
If we move the door on the east, like it's been asked, we're not gonna lose any windows, we'll just do a swap essentially.
Yeah,
Split.
basically it would be move the door up to right next to toilet 117. And then that window would just slice out. So still keep the same amount of glass in that east wall.
Existing, the trees that are noted in the front, are those the existing trees, will those be new?
In the
That 10-foot wide.
landscape area, the plan was that those would probably be new. There's about 3 or 4 that are 5 that are in the new paved area that would be coming down. I don't know. I haven't done a real close look to see if any of those if it's possible to come in and spade them out. If they're ash, they need to go away, so.
There's a final.
So,
Is this kitchen fully enclosed? So there's no wall between the town hall space and kitchen?
But I first of all, want that to be more of a galley. I want one bank of cabinets.
Yep.
So that you enter from either the hall side or the office or the 104 side. I wanted a walk-through door of some sort of some, or maybe you could walk through hall 111. I just want one bank of cabinets, a refrigerator, a microwave, a sink, and a little bit of cabinets. And across from it, have a 2-foot wide slab. For a heating counter, or to set up food for the election board. This kitchen here is way too big. So,
But from the town hall space into the kitchen, that's a solid wall, is what we're.
right, and we may have use one entrance, but if we can figure it some way, maybe we have two. It's gonna be up to them. If it doesn't reconfigure, it doesn't reconfigure, but we say it's smaller.
And you want it popped out at one to town hall space. So
I'm
yeah,
sorry, what did you say?
111, you enter, and then you want to add a door in 115.
You could, and it's all gonna depend on how it works out.
Okay.
Because I was thinking that it would go this way between 105, 104 and the town hall. So it'd be a galley across and you just go right through it. You just walk right through it, but I don't know. That's the one.
Yeah, we want a nice area for them so they can set their lunch.
Well,
Yeah,
I think we're gonna meet the conference with the elections.
Sorry.
Of course, that's gonna be there, but the conference with the elections. Can I ask something?
102 for the, it's 102 for the town hall standard meeting, board meeting. Is that what 102 is for? So the only thing I'm gonna ask is, when I look at 102 and I look at 103,
Oh.
Yep.
Hey, what?
Yep, so 102.
I'm sorry, A102 and A103.
Yeah.
We're gonna end up with the same issue with these brown boxes surrounding the wall that we have with the displays and all of that, because if you look, that long wall has all these voting boxes against it. So we're gonna build a brand new building and have the same problem. Well, I'm gonna say call it a constraint, but because the walls are only gonna be 10'8" at the peak. This is actually gonna end up being shorter.
Right, we'll have 10-foot ceiling.
Yep, but basically, this is the, what, this is the 12 or 14?
This is 12.
There's 11 cents, but. it's-
Okay. But-
it's not.
Yeah, so we're gonna end up with a smaller display for town board meetings then. Based on this design.
But you have all of this wall in front and all this wall against this center. The windows.
But I've got walls, so you want me to put in your example, I'm just thinking, trying to understand. You would then have the projector point at basically where the men's room is. Projector TV. Well, TV screen, whatever it is. You would have that foot where the men's restroom is, but we can't probably mount the electrical there.
Hanging right here.
Oh, you'd hang them from the ceiling.
Yes,
Okay, that helps.
right in the middle of the
Right,
ceiling.
ceiling monitors,
Okay,
but you can basically do this same thing,
no, I want to avoid this at all costs.
but you can have that. Can be mounted from the ceiling. And it can be pulled out so that it actually can come down in front of the voting cabinets.
Yeah,
No, but you see, I think we agreed with Justin that we can see this.
yeah,
Okay.
it's my small concession.
The projector,
Yes.
I think the hard part with projectors is if you've got lights on like this and you're sitting out there,
right,
that is,
it washes up.
yeah.
You wanna say something?
Yeah.
You wanna say something?
I just want to say something on the kitchen area, so it won't be open like this, and it won't have a counter like this. You want to say?
It's gonna have a back counter and then an interior, she's gonna counter to that.
Because we do use it like we're already planning a pizza party for the volunteers.
Right, but that doesn't mean I can't walk through and get their food and come out, then we're gonna change.
Oh, so it'd be more like a breakfast buffet kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean,
Or what if we had a public forum here and we have coffee and snacks?
right, I mean, we're still thinking about that, I know, like I said.
We'll have
Yeah.
to use the table and put pot.
Yeah, my comment on that is the aesthetic of a closed room is much better than having a visible kitchen. However, if we were to go down that route of having the little counter serving something like a bar door, or something that would kind of cover that on a regular meeting space that's covered. Again, aesthetically, it's a little bit more pleasing. Practicality, you know, you open that barn door up, and now you got your door in the kitchen, you put a lid on the thing at the serving counter there. Overall, personally, I really like this concept, I like the layout. I think it has everything that we've needed, doesn't have a lot of extra stuff that we don't need. I think it's very usable, it gives us a lot of space to grow into. I really like the flush toilets on the side, so critically addition there, and then, you know, the existing, so, other than minor tweaks that have been discussed, I'm not pretty pleased with it.
Chris, did you have anything you wanted to add?
It's real simple, I think. From a point of view of just, you know, plumbing wise. In your thoughts, if it makes sense, move them outside bathrooms to the back where the tanks are gonna be. You know, closer, pressure wise. Right?
Yeah, and, you know, and I'm a little bit,
Because they,
you know, we talked about trying to keep the plumbing as condensed as possible.
yeah,
And so when I'm, you know, when I'm looking at the site plan,
yeah,
you know, this corner is closest to all of this.
Yeah.
The apartment.
yeah,
And that's what the bathrooms are supposed to be for. And, you know, I really don't want to be.
oh, I mean, just slide them south,
I can certainly take these and slide them all the way down.
that's all I ask, just slide them south.
I can do that, that's no problem at all.
So that's a discussion I have, because if you do slide into the top, to me, that gives people a sense of nobody's watched.
Oh,
That was my first thought as well.
And
Where the place now is obviously the most convenient to the pavilion, to the playground, to the park. Very visible, it's gonna be very good up right in that corner.
all the cameras would work better.
and see that,
Okay.
would you do the waste pipe from that out from those two bathrooms right directly to? Are you gonna pour it to the outside, or are you gonna run it all the way across the flag to the other bathroom? You're gonna bring it out?
Well, they
It was my other
T in
question.
the south corner,
That's what I wanted.
Right.
they will,
Right, so,
get a clean out.
right, so wherever the septic tank is, you'd have one line coming out from the bathrooms here. You'd have another line coming from these bathrooms over in T and tying into the septic tank, so, you know.
No, I'm educated now on the.
Yep.
On the.
That's my concern. Oh, it's,
In the practicality, it's closer to the field, it's closer to everything. At first when you said south, I thought you meant like south, the back side of the.
Question on the bathroom.
I'm done.
Okay, go ahead.
So, just looking at the bathrooms and who would be using them and how you access them. Do you really want the public, we've done all this stuff to keep the public in this front area and maybe the election area? And do you really want the public walking through all this area to use bathrooms? Shouldn't they be where the storage is? Don't give me that look.
I don't know.
Think about
Good.
it. And here's the other thing, can you have a little kitchen in the conference room, so it's one area? Is it likely that in the conference room, you may have a little kitchen, have it in there?
It's possible. The reason I
That's just
like,
what you're about.
the reason I'm going back. is
Because
they
the
are,
restrooms, I
they're
understand.
restrooms and they're in the back. This storage, you know, if you put that back there, now you've only got one way in and out. We're trying to have two ways in, a double set of doors in and out. You put it back where the bathrooms are, that's what we're trying to do now. You're yelling kind of straight through.
Well, it wouldn't be, you could still change, that because I'm presuming that storage is for all the stuff for the hall area anyway. I'm just putting it as a suggestion, but I don't think it's a good idea trucking through the hallway, you know.
And the other thing about the storage being close to the front is all the time, there's on the tab for all those machines and really gives them access right to the door. I don't know how hard that is.
It's a few more feet, but they should have a dolly or anything in there, storing from the storage.
It's 45 feet, that is.
And I would advocate keeping the kitchen and conference room separate. I think what we're trying to be. I think what has always been the norm in the history of years, one at a time. This is the space, one user group at a time.
Okay,
As we grow and as things can progress, there could potentially be two user groups at the town hall at the same time. One smaller one, a couple of people meeting in the conference room, a couple of people in town hall space. And once you combine that conference room and kitchen, now you're kind of going right back to where you were with one user group. Because now you got one group that wants to go in and use the kitchen.
or that way,
Yeah.
both groups could use the kitchen at a different.
Exactly, yeah.
And I think that's a good point since we're forward thinking.
Okay. And hopefully you feel like you've got some, go ahead.
And my last piece that I feel is the most important is that the clerks and Terry speak the most. You guys are living here, working here. I don't really care what everybody else feels.
Thank you.
I'd like to hear it from Terry.
Well, you don't speak up enough. I'm speaking up for you. Make sure you look at this and you like it because you live it.
And if you have to bring in your reserve troop, the other two reserve troops, do the talking in here, then that's what we need to do. I do have one overall design question. Is we have a beautiful view of the whole south of the building. There's not one window to the south. And I just think that's kind of a loss. Windows are on the east, town hall, dark in here. Not even looking out.
I mean, like currently, right now, we have a beautiful view of the parking lot.
Right, but I think, I don't know if there's some way that you could be a part of what the clerks. It's look at.
Well,
I don't know if it'll, I don't know if
if
it'll.
it's Terry's office back there, it could have south window.
Correct, right, yeah,
And we could move some of the booths to the east wall to the south window of the town hall.
right, so,
Or on those oddball walls, I don't know, that's why we, that's why we need to discuss it.
right, so the change will be rotating the vault from running east-west, meaning north-south, so then Terry's office can be moved from here down here. And so then she would have a west and a south window,
It's about the west.
just window on the south,
Yeah.
no window on the west.
Because the last thing you do, then I have to that is not so that wall is.
Okay,
I know that you want to do it a quarter, which is like a 5 and say like.
That's fine. That's why you do corner offices, so you have.
That's exactly what we do for the option.
You like salt breathe once in a while?
Okay.
No, I agree with you, Laura. The Windows thing, I think that's one of those balancing acts we'll have to try to figure out. If we need the voting booths, but windows are nice, so,
So you can put some of the voting booths on the
Yeah.
east wall because they're gonna still walk around that way to get out.
yeah.
So there's no reason why you can't put them on the south and the east
You're gonna still have that same flow.
door onto the bathrooms and that gives you that full flow.
There you go.
Smaller windows.
Well, and I was just gonna say, you know,
You
we
gotta
got,
turn this on.
we got the voting booth space can go up to 6 feet.
Yeah.
You can do, you know,
Arch windows.
windows above them, awning windows above,
Yeah,
that would actually let light.
get that light in, yeah.
It's too bad you can't figure out.
Let's do
what's
milk.
going on.
I mean, I look at it.
I said, let's do milk house.
I'll put that right in with your barn sink, okay?
Quick below. Elevation, so what's that? Not a full-
Right, yep,
not the higher plan.
right.
Terry, I just look at your workspace. And I see the areas that you need. But it seems like. You're still gonna. It's almost like you have to walk through people's offices in order to get to the storage vault and I don't know if there's a way that you can have that centrally located so that it doesn't occur. And that might mean that a door would have to be moved or a door added or.
Well, if he changes it, like she asked me to, put the wall, we can hold that on the end. We put the vaults on the other wall, see how long it is, there's the vault.
So the vault here,
And her.
three thoughts could be here. This one's gonna go away, so these two workstations will move over here.
The point is, you still are walking in and out of Terry's workspace.
If you want,
To potentially access the wall.
no, the vault is down
The
here,
vault will be up here.
right here by the door, right there.
This area right here, now will have this work table.
Yeah.
Sitting here, so there won't be any workstations. Right here, this will be where they can be assembling papers and when that's set.
Yeah.
But the other 4 workstations will be in this area.
May I ask? Just
Yeah.
so I understand. We're talking about turning storage room 106, which is currently labeled the vault,
Yes,
basically 90 degrees.
and go this way, it's skinnier.
Okay, so it's gonna be bumped up against what is currently listed as the mechanical room.
Yeah.
Right, all the way to the door,
Yeah,
it's gonna
okay,
be that long.
here was my concern, is that you were trying to squeeze her between the mechanical room and the vault, and I would not want that office on Earth, because all you'd hear is the furnace running. Or whatever, you know, a dead space next to you.
Now, the
Yeah.
vault. The storage vault will be right here, next to the mechanical room. Terry's office will be in the corner.
Yeah, no harm, no foul, because everybody here insulated a little bit more from it.
Yeah. Is there anything else you need from us to go forward? I just want to schedule a meeting. Because we need to go back over the plan and just to get everybody in one to think about this. How does the 30th of November look?
You have the presentation.
The 14th
Or
is not happening. I'm hoping that he has a little bit better layout in the office before that. And the center part for the 14th, but if it isn't, it isn't.
and nothing.
Does the 30th work? If not, I see you shaking your head.
Yeah, 30 will be fine.
Does the 30th work for the board? It's a Thursday. The week after Thanksgiving. Your hunting's still going on, but I don't think that makes a difference.
I stayed inside. That's fine.
That's right. I had to schedule a pre-bid in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, around their deer hunting.
Oh,
The 15th, man.
Yep,
I'm gonna make a motion that we set another work session on the 30th of November at 6 o'clock. Is there a second?
Second.
Any other discussion? All of the favor say aye. Motion passes. So on the 14th, we'll find out if we're going forward with this or not.
Okay.
On the 30th, you can bring to us your proposal for how this is going to go and what we need to agree to with Santa. Is that right? That's right.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Will we have anything for the 14th for people to react to?
That's what we put next year with Chris, we're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
So I just don't want these guys to go, so if there's anything else for us to do, let us know, but otherwise that's the intent on the 14th. We'll make a presentation at our 6 o'clock open house. Talk to people and want to have at least a couple of these plans up. So we can see, but I don't know how much time we have between now and then, to these questions will be there aside. Not final, it's not final, just some people have a view, like, especially that we can use the exteriors. Because I think that people's visual, when you show them this. You know,
Flash of color.
and flash of color. It's gonna be gray, gray, and gray, but you know.
Oh, God, as long as it's not beige. Midwest beige.
I think it's even fine. I think it's more hammered.
I was planning on Harvest Soul.
All right,
Harvest School, maybe some burnt orange. All right.
it doesn't have to be,
No, it doesn't have to be perfect. It's
Yes, sir.
in the flavor.
Why we can't go to the
you
14th?
don't have to turn on. Well, I'm sorry.
Is there any reason we can't go to the 14th meeting with what this is? with, it's ready to go and we don't need different layouts or anything else. It's not what it would look like.
This is
And
right.
we can, then that meeting can be put together and go forward, knowing that this is what it will look like.
Yeah.
Lee, you have a comment. You seem like you have,
listening.
you have the expression of someone who has the comments to add to this. Okay.
So that's right on the 30th, is that we get this ball rolling, and that will give us one more chance in December to talk about certifications.
Right.
And final plans, with you going in January, with that board in February.
Okay.
That's the plan.
Okay, November 14th meeting, that's at 6 o'clock as well.
That's the budget meeting. The 6 o'clock is just an open house that I have. I was gonna discuss that with everyone that I want to have. Copies of the plan on the walls. I have a PowerPoint. If any of you were present, if you were, when we did the fire station addition. We did a PowerPoint presentation and I will have her send that to you. That was done 13 years ago. I'm working on that today. I took photos of everything. I'm putting that together. I put together the deficiencies, the needs, etc. So people have an idea about why this has come about. So I'm trying to get that PowerPoint done. I will have Terry finish it up and then she can send it out to you and you just find something that's glaring or that you hate, you can let Terry know, but I will be involved in it.
And I think that's why I find have what we have now.
Yeah.
Because people can nitpick the small little things, but the 90% of it is pretty well established what it's gonna be.
And we're not giving the public the ability to nitpick the plan. The public is only approving the building of a building.
Yes.
Doesn't matter what that building is, they're approving the building of the building.
All I'm saying is, once you put something up, whether you want it
Yeah.
or not, it's gonna.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Whether opinions were solicited or not.
You're gonna get that.
We did the maintenance garage, we did the same thing, we had, running out the gutters and like 2 doors and then it's garage. Here it is, it's not a lot, but here it is. So they have to approve the building and they have to approve the levy. And if they approve both of those, then we're a go. So what will happen is he'll come on the 30th with his paperwork and stuff that we're gonna sign off on it, go forward with him. And we will have the paperwork on the loan stuff to go forward. Right now, we've only instructed Ryan to put together the bid sheet and find out where it's all coming in, but we don't agree to any loan until we get all that information back.
So you're saying on the 30th, we're gonna come here, have a new set of blueprints, and we're gonna vote on it.
I did not see blueprints.
New set of plan.
Yeah.
And you're expecting the board to vote on that layout that night and move forward.
And then pick if they wish, because then when he comes back in December, he's coming back with a final plan, and now we're gonna go, we're gonna nitpick the steps. Probably vote on the 14th.
It's the 14th, the public's only opportunity
The vote.
whether there's no other public input regarding the building other than that night.
That's up to the board. I mean, that's where I have it right now. You have time mistakes. We're up against a lot of time mistakes. So that's why I did that open house at 6 o'clock.
So Lori, I want to make sure that I'm understanding what you're saying. You're saying, so on the 14th, my understanding is that's where we go and show the public thoughts of what we've assumed and the budget. And that's where they get the town electors to vote. If they come to a working session and ask for public comment to say, why would you make a desk an L shape instead of a square shape or something? That to me is a different part of it. That would be part of the design phase. So to me, the 14th is just our budgetary component of this project.
And the
14th, the
Yeah,
public,
approved.
14th, the public is gonna decide whether or not we're building this building.
right.
But not necessarily with what's inside of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, can we borrow the money? And can we build it? We do have the approval to actually break ground. But. So that's what you were asking?
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
I was asking, will the public have any other time to nitpick the plan? That's the word we want to use after that 14th meeting. And I would say that. That.
Well, no, I mean, nitpick the plan, that's fine. I'm trying to ask is.
You're not gonna nitpick any plan.
Right.
on the 14th.
The residents should be
Is
taking
there,
a look at the exterior elevations, and see what it looks like. And then look at the price tag and what it's gonna cost them. But all of the internal layout is with this group right here.
it's gonna do? Starting on 30th.
Mostly this person right here. And then the rest of us are just going, oh, yeah, but you really shouldn't put this next to that. That's mostly, but this is primarily for the office staff, but you
Yep,
know, we make recommendations.
right, but I still want all of your input too, because, you know,
That's a very dangerous statement to say to someone like.
no, this is your space, it's not mine. I'm here to put your ideas on the paper that you started. So I need your input on how to make this be as efficient and work as effectively for the town of St. Joseph as it possibly can. From now to 30 years plus down the road. So, so all the residents that are coming in are saying, you know, you guys were very forward thinking and how this was laid out, where it was located on the property. So you've got room to expand to the east and to the west. If the office space needs to grow at some point in the future, we're gonna lay the building out so that you've got that opportunity to move forward. That's kind of why we did gable ends on the east and the west as well. So that if the townhouse space or the office space have to grow, it's just add on and you continue the roof. It's not tearing anything more apart than is absolutely necessary. And the construction of the additions can be done without disrupting it.
Anything else, anyone, or the last person? You go. Right,
Thank you.
Thank you.
do you know, do you have a concept in your brain about what is the cost to build that as a being fire hall? A nice round number. I'm just curious because someone asked me about that. Like, you think we can do it for 10?
What?
Okay.
Yep.
I can just say the next one for 10 of us.
Yeah, because it isn't that big a space to do that.
Right.
There isn't a whole lot of demolition to do. You know, you've got treated plate to lay on the concrete, everything else can be framed with just regular wood.
So that was-
Right.
So since we're talking about this. Why can't I find volunteers to do that?
I have no problem with that. But if the public ask us that they want more storage, what would that cost to build?
Okay,
I at least want a number, because even if you get volunteers, there's still a cost.
all right, I just wanted to.
Yeah,
hold the
I
playing
am
field.
fine with that.
Okay.
I mean, I appreciate the fact that you're willing to step up and do some of that. But, you know, what happens, Chris races too late.
No, I get it.
Be in charge.
I get it.
So I just wanted a nice round number.
All right.
When someone asks the name with him, someone asks him, he can say, well, 10 million, 10 grand. But you know, very about the 1%, a couple $1,000.
Right, I'm the conservative person,
Right,
hey, we should be able to pull this together.
right. Because he's kind of laid out how it has to be done.
Okay,
Because you have to get around some of that height and stuff in there, so it's kind of laid out how it has to be done, but obviously you have that. You know, Zach knows what, he and Zach are really,
yeah, I understand, that's fine.
all right.
And if you're getting volunteers together, just give me a call. I'll come over.
Well, thank you. Oh, that's very nice.
You wouldn't like how I talk often.
I might not watch.
Oh, yeah, right, this, we might have-
That's right. You
You
should
might
come
have-
down, you should come down to camp some second Saturday.
You'd be able to see the flames from here about the town there.
That is great. That makes me laugh, good. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you.
on to the budget. So a couple of things that happened. And then I put it back before you. We all approved it, but now it's back for you. So I had a discussion with Brian earlier today, and Brian was feeling it a little uncomfortable. So we bumped up the debt service for the loan from 297 to 303. He goes, I'm telling you right now that things are up and down all over the place. And if you did it on the right day, that's probably gonna be one of them. And if we don't do this, and it goes over, I'm concerned. So by doing that, that lifted our, debt service value by about $5,000, I think, 6,000, I can't remember, 6,000. So that would change that number and that number will fund year each year. Also, as we worked our way through checking everything last week, on page 2, this 161,425 was the right number now, with the incorrect one on your old sheet.
What line?
Sorry, 44000 is line 68. Then on line 102, we bumped that up to 91,000 because the interest, and we were 5.5%, we're gonna be making on that $2 million. And we said, we need to bump up your interest on that.
On 102,
That your yellow highlight, so we got 102. And then on, bid outs, line 210, because we had started out with a $20,000 mistake. Now, public works went from 500 and something back down to 478,995, 439,000. And the bid outs.
just word.
You got it, and take it away. That's all.
That's bad.
Just backpack, it's quick and stock market. So there's where you're at. So just the yellow highlights got changed. Plus the one at the time was really yellow highlight. This works out to bill about $10 a 100,000. And I asked him, are we still in the ballpark? He said, yeah, it's 2 pennies that make the difference. He said, use $10 a 100,000. You have 10 cents per thousand, so you're at $500,000 house, it's gonna cost you $50.
For the building,
What bill? A year.
but that's no indication of. What number do we always get the first week of December that comes into play here? We have all the numbers that we need right now.
But
Or this is there any expected changes coming in on this?
well, she's got to file this, and this has got to go. After the 14th, she only got about 5 days to file this medical worksheet. So this has to go, it has nothing to do with county. At all, the payments that we get in December, and county have to do with next year's tax. Of people who are prepaid.
I'm not looking at the payments. When the tax statement comes out, what do you expect the percent to say on the town of St. Joe for the,
Increase 75%.
I already know that's gonna say 5%.
Because she already figured it out today. On the notice it has to go out. No. A 5% increase in levy is not a 5% increase on taxes.
No, right, I'm using your $50 for $100,000.
$10 for
Or-
$100, 50 on a $500,000.
Oh,
So if your place is $500,000, you should expect $50.
Yeah.
you
Now,
should-
two
you
minutes.
should let me with the expand.
Unfortunately, it's been only $50.
So,
So you're saying that this is gonna say that our levy increased 5%, however, it's the actual impact on your $500,000 house is 50, so my taxes should be $50 more than they were last year
On the town,
on the town piece.
you gotta be careful. Because
You know, I know that part because
abroad ain't gonna work.
But I'll tell you this, I'm got a big increase.
Yeah, what did I just see there? That shit, giant budget thing. So from, this is a question seeking an answer, maybe my peers have it. Where does the insurance companies across the US chime in with how our fire department rating is? Where do you see that, you know? Because a lot of people. And it's, well, my insurance company tells me the better that our fire department is, my homeowner's insurance is more affordable.
Yeah, so we're currently a 5 for
Okay,
ISO. We're up in 2025 for another look at ISO. And I don't anticipate, we can't get better. There's no way to get better because we need.
no, that's great,
Yeah.
because if people have a conversation with me, I would say, yeah, that's true.
Five is good,
Yes,
What's,
five is very good.
what would it take for us to get to 4? Like, how would?
municipal water,
Municipal water.
hydrants.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, even Somerset is flirting on 4 and 5 right now, and they have hydrants.
That's a much more ambitious project than this.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, so they're rated the other way, 1 is better than 5?
Yes,
Oh, I thought 10
Yeah.
was bad.
Okay, yeah, so then how do we get to 6? How do we prevent from sliding to 6? How do we backslide?
we were 6 and we moved up to 5 this last time.
Okay,
I would have to look back at our ISO, what was changed. The one
I
thing
can
that we
tell you-
did to make a better increase was the fact that we actually have more engines than what's required because of our tenders, so have become engines.
yep.
We have better mutual aid, we have all this other stuff, and you probably have some other.
Well, about this too, gave us more points because we have a kind prior to the addition, we only had a regular well at half or something. Now we have a higher. Which allows better firefighting. Because they don't have to go to the light courses or the.
So that's also maintaining.
schools.
Yeah.
So that high capacity well, I know gave us points once we put that.
Sure.
And the only way you can get better is to move closer to the fire department. 'Cause I had this discussion with my insurance company. So that's one of the questions when you're filling out to change insurance companies, that they ask you, where's your fire department? Where's the fire department located that's assigned to your home? And you know how far you are from the fire department, and that's the information.
The rating changes within the town as well. So the closer you are to the fire station, the better your number is.
Yep.
And so if you're on the edge of the town, you may actually be an 8. Because you're not within that period where they consider a 5. That's what Somerset is looking at right now. He was explaining how theirs, it varies widely over their area because they're so big. So that's one of the things.
Brian, second set of eyes on this, looked at it, approved it.
We went through everything.
Okay, thank you.
Can we do that every year? Have Brian look at, take a second.
No,
So the ISO part, do they kind of look at all the education of your partners too? Okay.
Yeah, we need to put down for like all of our departments around us. We have to put down what kind of trucks they have, what trucks, how many people, what their capacity is. Yeah, they look at everything around us. Yeah, they look at everything within us, but everything around us. Some insurances will. They'll actually change your insurance premium based on a change in ISO. I talked to my insurance after our own personal home insurance, and they said. It doesn't change much from 6 to 5, so they didn't really change anything for us, but there are some out there that change every time we move a number. We can't move better, but
we can maintain.
yeah, we can maintain it.
you can imagine what your number would be if you did not have a second.
Oh, yeah. They rated it as a basement.
10 out of 10.
Yes.
It's amazing how many times I've gotten called in the last 2 years to discuss with the new insurance company or answer fire department questions, because they want to call and they want to get all that information from me.
Okay, so we need to have a rule tonight on this revised levy limit sheet and on this revised budget, so she can make them posted. The budget has to be voted. You don't want to make a motion?
I make a motion to approve the 2023 municipal levy limit worksheet.
There's a second,
Second.
any other discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I make a motion to approve the town of St. Joseph's 2024 budget.
There's a second,
Second.
any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Anything else on the building that you wanted to bring up that wasn't brought up before? Otherwise,
Yeah, one question.
go ahead.
Once this building is emptied out, what are the next steps for the fire department? Or is that something that'll have to be revisited next year?
Well, I don't want to revisit it yet. I think it's important for fire departments to determine if they need anything here.
Okay.
I did talk to that briefly today, because if they're gonna be trained, and we're taking this AV with us. I know Tim Whiteside said, I can get you one of those. I know it's a commercial, it's owls that wow. Broadcast.
We use those.
And he said that was what created the space for him, because he didn't need microphones. So that's something that Tim is glad to do. In your drive, we also have the stuff from Tim when it said it's what the cost to move over there. And then I was just looking to back to see how they're gonna handle this. How are they gonna reconfigure themselves? Are they putting their workout room in here and a meeting? I've got the workout room up there in the offices are now, and some of the offices in here. He's kind of having to come to us with what his needs and wants gonna be.
There's a lot of things that I didn't even like think about until like this afternoon. I met with a guy about the door locks.
Mhm.
And then I started thinking about it and I was like, there's a keypad right there, there's a keypad right there, there's a keypad right there, there's a keypad up there, and it's like, we don't need all those keypads. But we want, if this is our building, we'd want two for sure, but then we want two interior keypads as well. So it's like we would change things and we just have to figure out exactly how we use the space before we can kind of go forward with it. And we've had some discussions, but it's hard because trying to get my officers together, we talk about it once a month really quick and people throw out ideas. It's gonna take us a couple of months to figure out like how we reconfigure this whole thing.
I just wanted that to not be completely forgotten. Because
Yeah, no, I
it's one of the
appreciate it.
things where the building was set up and we're out, physically out of this one. All of a sudden, you've got a lot of open space. And if there isn't a plan in place as to how to utilize it.
That one especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that so generous? Oh, thank you. No, it's.
And he's the old fire department.
So I don't know much about that, that's what I'm asking, so the fire department doesn't need to have anything in them black two cabinets to run
Well,
this?
that is IT up there.
Yeah,
So that's going, and the server room is in the server room is going.
what would they do here if they needed to?
They're gonna be connected to us.
Oh, it works like that over there?
So in your drive is stuff, then like about connecting the two buildings together, but moving everything over there.
So essentially, what the current approach that Sunny Lee sent is, it would be just like fiber between streets.
Yeah.
They would just put conduit between the two and plug the two buildings in together with
Okay,
fiber.
all right, thank you.
And then the lower, the top box is gonna move into that IT room, that runs AV. And the bottom box will go into the main room, so that that's where our microphones are, so we don't have to access IT to get to them.
I just.
Yeah.
I just saw the.
Oh, yeah.
Opportunity to leave the old stuff here and get new stuff if they needed it here. You guys are way smarter than me. Okay.
You know,
And like I was saying today, if we had this style set up, I think we would need maximum 2 of those microphones.
but if you do it on the owl, that projects and if you're going to project into anyone who's completely on the screen. So you do have that ability with the owl. And we the speakers, they always have the ability to look into that in some way or fashion. And we can leave this to the time being until you decide to do
Well,
something
open
else.
TVs right away.
It's a good idea. That's number one.
Yeah,
So
Protect yourself.
Last thing, so for yourself and your officers, you might wanna, this me speaking, you might wanna tell them that they need to pick out a time to get together with you and meet all of that make function here, because we would look like you don't know what you're doing if this is still empty and still not being utilized, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, I mean. I feel like we're gonna have a much better, by the end of the year, we should have a pretty good understanding.
Great,
How
I
things
just,
try to be.
I just don't want people to go, look, they just got shit piled in the corner over there.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And then the last thing, I did some research on Star Prairie.
Oh, yeah,
Scott Connor did all that.
yeah.
Do you feel that he should come to the table and take a crack at designing this?
I think we're too deep into it right now.
Lori, we still have the.
Yeah.
Plumbing repair, if you want to talk about it.
No, it's on the, you weren't here.
Oh, well, I was on the Zoom meeting, but I don't think anyone
We got
really understands this.
so we finally got a quote, and our quote was not. Of either of the options we looked at, and so I haven't had a chance to talk to him about it and ask why he changed the approach. But I also feel like I wanna check, I wanna get a second opinion and see what their opinion is of how to fix that.
Okay.
Because his approach was not quite top cost of what we were thinking, but it was getting up there again, and it was just like, well, is this, doing it this way, is it still better?
So to bring that up, at some point when I see an opportunity that your time lines up with my time, we need to find out where the drains go. Johnny had referred that to me, that I have the equipment to find that out. And then he can get you better abilities to fix.
Oh, sure, yep, yeah, cause that was one of the big questions was,
We need to find out if it goes to daylight out this way, or if it goes to a hole underneath the concrete nobody knows about.
I think
No,
what we
first-
figured out
first thought was that it goes to a trap, a sand trap, and then it goes out to the drain.
at the corner of this building, or at, on the east side of our. Truck base, there's a basket, and I think that's a sand filter,
Yep.
that everything runs through from all of the bathrooms and everything.
So
Maybe not the bathrooms, but everything else, and then it goes out.
Is that the DNR requirement, that you have to run all those drains in that building? You must know that.
yeah, so Johnny wanted to know if it goes over there, if it goes straight into the septic. If it goes straight into the septic, we can do something. If it goes over there, you're pumping all that laundry water into a sand trap. And then it's gotta go, so we have to do some research.
Sure.
Okay.
I had,
I'd like to go back to this question on.
Well, just a second.
I just had two questions. First up, if you recall that conversation. We had about, talking to county about what equipment still needs to be on that roof.
Yes, I started. Talking to one of our guys who deals with dispatch, and he's going to contact dispatch because, Paul, one of our officers, I told him, I said, I think the microwave, the old microwave stuff is still up there.
Yeah.
Paul's like, I didn't know that, so he said that he was gonna talk to, because he's kind of like our go-to, he talks to the radio
Sure.
and all that stuff, so. Yeah, we're gonna work on that.
Okay, yeah, my concern is that it actually will, those older units will interfere with your guys' handhelds.
Sure.
Because they share a frequency. The other question I had was, I know that at the last time, and I don't know if this is done, but did we actually get the doors ordered for replacement? Okay,
Yes, they're not ordered yet, we have it signed.
Yeah.
And I have a color.
Okay.
He dropped off a color code for the doors tonight, and I just wanted a couple of the other officers to look at it, and then it's gonna be ordered tomorrow, Friday.
super, we've got snow on Saturday.
Why didn't you-
We have snow scheduled for Saturday, which is why I'm asking.
different guy. probably better just to say that it's fine to say that you want someone to draw plans up, but someone has to oversee this project. And I say that because there isn't a commercial within the skill, that things don't go wrong.
Okay,
And I
but
know,
obviously, we're all grown adults, of course.
and I know what happened in this fire audition. And at the time, Ron Gordon said, I'm a contractor, I can do this. And I said, Ron, I don't think you wanna do this. I realize it's just a rectangle over here. I don't think you wanna do this. And in the midst of this, the electrician, one of the real switch a rule on us on that electrical panel. And it was hot. And so it ended up costing the electrician many thousands of dollars, which I don't want to do. But only because he was out here on site that cost. I dealt with him in the town of Hudson, these spots and things there too, that they not do for you. And so it's great to have someone draw you a set of plans, but it's hard to have someone be your advocate for those plans. With a builder and be able to have a phone to hold their hands, right?
So do you,
You don't think Scott Howard, are you saying someone else couldn't do it?
I'm concerned about that. because
Oh.
I know how nasty this can get with builders.
so I'm listening, I'll take one more thought on this. I was simply asking if Scott Counter could draw up a floor plan, listen to the needs of Terry and you and whoever else. And Stan Tech would still carry out the bill of it. Isn't that possible?
I
Or
know,
would they
but-
be offended?
I don't know if they carry out the bill, if someone else is doing plans and specs, so you just have
Oh, really?
a plan, because he has to be responsible for what those specs are.
Well, you're
So
teaching
it
me
counts,
this, so
it counts.
Not if he's not overseeing it, he's not.
I don't believe he's a contractor, I know he's an architect. And I don't have his pedigree, right? I just wanted to bring up, I did my research, went and looked at it, hey, I like his. You know, in his thought process over there and.
You know, I guess if you wanted someone to draw you up a preliminary set of plans like this one is, and bring it to Bruce to have him flesh it out and put the specs together. The problem with this, is that you have someone else who's spec for a building. And he has to do the oversight of that building. What if he doesn't agree with where those specs are wrong? Who's paying?
Then we gotta answer.
Who pays for that? And that's exactly what, there were two things that happened in this bill. Number one, the electrician tried to cut corners
Okay,
and Bruce caught him, and it was about a $5,000 fix.
yeah,
Number two, Stan Tech on one of their specs did something incorrect, and Stan Tech picked up the tab.
yeah.
It wasn't a big.
So you couldn't have this solid.
And it's one thing to say, you just give me a preliminary plan and we go from there, but I think we're already there. with it. And I say that, you know, I'm not saying it's absolutely the only way, but
Well, no, I mean, when people come up to me, I
Yeah.
wanna be able to say, hey, here's the education I got first.
that's the biggest problem with this happening. Because everyone's pointing.
Oh, yeah,
So when someone doesn't do something. You know, well, then they're gonna say, well, it wasn't on specs, and then the person who wrote the specs go, oh yeah, and right here, now you gotta do it. If it's not on the specs, then the engineer or architect has to do it.
or we have lots of expensive embarrassing change orders.
That's fine.
Yeah.
You can have that in.
But you can't, but these, they're behind the workers. They did over there, I've seen them do it other places. You know, mistakes happen, but you want someone to pay for it, you don't want the town to pay for the mistake.
No, I even, I just wanted to run it out here in public.
It's a good idea. I'm just struggling a little bit.
I'm not
We just saw that in there.
Well, the longer you wait, the less you're gonna get the good things, that's why it's not. All right, does anyone want to make a motion?
Okay, motion to adjourn.
There's-
Second.
And we're done, thank you, everybody, the agenda will be out tomorrow for you. So hopefully you can weigh in and see what